I recently lost my dear friend Ann Thomas. Some of you knew Ann because she performed on stages like this, or maybe you were a friend of hers. But Ann was one of my heroes. She lived her life to the fullest and with joy every single day, despite impossible odds. When she was 18, a terrible car accident left her paralyzed from the waist down, and she was in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. The doctor told her that she should probably be institutionalized because she would be a burden to her family. Instead, Ann went to graduate from college, from law school, became a trailblazing attorney, got married, divorced, had torrid love affairs, some of you may have heard stories about, and she just grabbed life to the fullest and was kind of a force of nature. And a few weeks ago was Ann's memorial service. She didn't want a funeral because that was so not Ann. She wanted a big party. And there were over 100 people at this event. Many of these people also were the same as at her 60th Ann is not dead yet themed party. That was the theme that she came up with, which was a blast. So at this event, these family and friends were coming up to the mic, one after another, including people from our storytelling community and the governor of New Mexico, who was Ann's close friend for over 30 years. And they were sharing these amazing stories about Ann. And some were about her kindness, her wisdom, and her empathy. But other stories were about her humor, incredible wit, and stories that kind of about her driving getaway vehicles, like a lot. Because she was also a delightful prankster. And as I was hearing these stories, I was kind of thinking about my own life. Like, am I living my life to the fullest? Are those the kind of stories that people would say about me? And of course, in my professional life, I've taken a lot of risks. I've started a business, but in my personal life, like, not so much. I mean, I blame my parents for this. As a good immigrant kid, my parents always told me terrible things like, we trust you implicitly. And worst yet, we will love you no matter what you do. I mean, who says stuff like that to an impressionable young child? But despite this brainwashing, I still got into plenty of trouble. For example, in high school, I got detention once for talking to the kid next to me and telling him how to do his homework. But in college, my friends and I got chased by the cops because the party we were at got shut down for underage drinking. And I had to hop a fence. Of course, as I was running to hop the fence, I was thinking to myself, why am I running? I don't actually drink. But still, we got chased by the cops. And just the other week, I ordered something at the restaurant that may have contained gluten. Don't laugh. Everybody knows gluten is the silent killer. So I was basically taking my life in my own hands. So as I was thinking about all of these things, I was thinking like, okay, like I really need to live more fully like Ann did, because often when I take risks, it's because, I end up at the wrong place at the right time for a story, or I do something clumsy, or, like somebody like Ann would encourage me to do something outside my box. But on my own devices, not so much. So as my friend Jen and I were walking out of the memorial service, and we were talking about, like, well, how can we live our lives more fully? We're walking down the stairs, and from one of the other event rooms in this banquet hall, we're hearing loud music. What's this? We peek in, and it turns out it's a wedding. So Jen and I look at each other, and the same epiphany strikes us at the exact same time. Oh my God, we have to crash this wedding. This would totally honor Ann's memory, and this is like Ann sending us a sign. So we look inside, and there is like a couple of small problems with this non-plan. The first is that it's a super tiny wedding. Like there's like maybe 30 people there, and they're all under the age of 30. No problem there. The second problem is that they're all dressed to the nines, and Ann's family said that we could wear casual attire, and once again, in my version of living on the edge, I wore jeans. So now I was about to crash this 30-person tiny wedding wearing jeans. Not a problem. The third problem, of course, was that this was taking place on a military base, and all the people at this wedding looked like very buff, very scary-looking military guys and gals, and they were not looking like they're going to be amused by our scheme to crash this wedding. And I want to say that I felt like emboldened and empowered and tipsy, but we all remember that I don't drink, and so because of that, potentially I was completely petrified, and I was praying that any moment my friend Jen would pull the plug on the whole scheme and say, let's not do this anymore. And I suspect that Jen was kind of thinking the same thing, but neither of us wanted to let down Anne and chicken out. And just then, Anne sent another sign. The chicken dance comes on. I kid you not. And now we can't not do this, and we're fully in. So Jen and I kind of inch our way to the edge of this little tiny dance floor, and we start flapping our wings with gusto. And as we're doing this, I'm noticing in horror as people are like staring at us, and I could see them mouthing like, who the heck are these women in jeans? And no matter, we're like really trying to get into this. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see this gigantic buff military dude in a tuxedo and slightly tipsy looking, walking kind of towards us. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we are so busted. And in my head, I'm trying to come up with like an empathy plea that would save us. So I'm thinking to myself, really sorry, dude. Yes, we are crashing this wedding, but our friend who passed away would have totally done this, and we're doing this to honor her memory. So we're really, really sorry, but as it turns out, no excuse is necessary, because the guy comes up, kind of looks up, both of us up and down, and he goes, "Come on." And he takes us like further into the dance floor, and he tells us that he's the father of the groom, and somehow magically our crashing gets slightly more legitimized by the guy who is probably paying for this whole like little tiny wedding. And not only that, but he proceeds to dance with us for the next 30 minutes, completely ignoring all the other guests who are actually invited to the wedding. And he proceeds to hit on me and Jen in alternate, like first me, then Jen, then me. We're not sure what's going on. Like, is he trying to hedge his bets? Is he just trying to make sure that neither of us feels left out and he was just being a good host? We don't know, but we're thinking, okay, somebody is legitimizing our presence here. Stick with us. And just as I'm thinking it is going to be okay and I'm starting to relax, a hip-hop line dance comes on. Now, there are 3 problems with this situation. The first one is that I'm neither hip nor hop on any day of the week. The second problem is that the dance keeps rotating directions, and I often end up in front of this dance, knowing not what I do, in jeans, with the legitimate guests dressed up behind me. And the third is the whole thing is getting videotaped on multiple devices. And I'm just imagining 20 years down the line, these people are showing their kids the video of the wedding, and the kid goes, okay, now there's Aunt Susan, there's Uncle Sam. Mom, who are these women in jeans? I don't know them. And the mom goes, of course not, dear. They're just some crazy women who crashed our wedding and were enabled by your grandfather. So then finally, this last slow song comes on, and Jen and I take this as our cue that it's time to go. We thank our tipsy host for having us there, and we, on a rush of adrenaline, strut ourselves out of this hall, high-fiving each other and laughing hilariously. And we feel relief, and we feel joy, and we feel so much gratitude and love for our dear friend Anne, who despite no longer being there, is still showing us what it means to live our lives to the fullest. Will I ever be the gal driving the getaway vehicle? Probably not, unless I end up at the wrong place at the right time. But I promise I will live my life more intentionally with adventure, just like Anne did. And I thank her for it every day. Thank you.